Welcome back to Rated Radio with your host, Rayburn Alexander and Shane Wyndham. Rayburn, what's going on in your world?
Taking care of a puppy. I just got through helping some friends move yesterday, so my thighs is tired and the strongest they've ever been.
All right. Thoroughbred legs.
Thoroughbred legs. Go all night. Figure that out.
No.
Okay. What's going on in your world?
Well, I was drinking scotch last night. Pretty much sums up where I'm at right now. And I've decided, I know you can't tell because I rolled out of bed and started doing the podcast, but I've decided to start working on having more grown-up hair, not just a gelled mess. Yeah, riveting stuff, I realize.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were talking last week about people clowning on KALEO, and ironically, in the show, I clowned on KALEO. Yeah. I'm so disappointed in myself, but that Rollin' with the Homies song from Clueless, it's a KALEO song.
That's a KALEO.
Yep. Also wanted to mention that the Everybody song I was trying to place when you mentioned the Rob Zombie track, it was a Violent Pornography by System of a Down.
I told you I think it might be a System of a Down song.
You did?
Yeah, on social media.
Oh.
Go back and look at your comments from Facebook.
Okay.
I did say it.
I'm old, I guess. I don't know how to work social media.
Sorry. And as far as your hair, as long as you don't try to mimic Coolio's hair, I don't think we'll have a problem.
I'm not.
Okay, cool.
I'm just using like molding wax and combs. I actually bought a brush for the first time in my life.
How did this turn into a discussion about your hair care routine?
It didn't. The wife's just been watching Property Brothers.
Okay.
And I've been refusing to cut my hair, so I've got this mop on top that I have to do something with. I don't normally enjoy that. I'd like to keep it short so that I can roll out of bed and just start doing what needs done. Because the way I sleep, my shit goes in all directions.
Well, there's a good thing that you're not seeing very many people at this time.
Oh, thanks.
I don't mind. I'm just saying, you don't have very many people to impress.
I'll show up impressing your dad next week. How about that?
That sounds great.
All right, are we ready to roll the intro?
Yeah. So Shane decided to ignore everything that we said last week, and he decided to change his mind and do top 10 songs with the best music videos.
Sorry. Not sorry at all.
And as punishment, Shane's going to go first.
Okay. My first pick is Jesus is a Friend of Mine by Sonseed. I'm kidding. What a fucking wreck that one is. Am I right?
Yeah.
All right. No, my first pick is Sex Tape by the Deftones. This one reminds me of being single back when I lived with Codes and his future wife. There was a night when a guy we called B-Rad and I were playing Truth or Dare in my room with a sizable group of ladies. But his homophobic ass got weirded out when they dared us to kiss, and that left me alone with all of them. A few of them were lesbians, so this is not as cool as I'm making it sound.
Okay.
But that evening looks a lot like this video in my memory. Was one hell of a night. And yeah, this is a gorgeously sensual video that I hope everyone sees. What's your first pick?
Cliche as fuck. It's Take On Me by A-ha.
That's not bad.
Okay, I know.
It's a good video.
It's a great video, but usually this is like on everybody's list.
Everybody.
I was shown this video by my dad. I think I was maybe 12 at the time. And I remember thinking, oh my God, this is so cool. So this just not only makes my list for nostalgic reasons, but it's a great video. So it's like a comic book strip, live action and comic book strip.
Yeah, they're blending animation with live action, right? It's
really cool. And especially when you think of when it was created, the time, it was really, really innovative. So that's my number one pick at this time.
Can we mention the acoustic version of that song?
Yes.
And how fantastic that is.
Yes. And for those of you that watched Deadpool 2, you'll know exactly what Shane is talking about because it was in Deadpool 2. It was like their song together.
And that's a pretty good example of what I was talking about last week with Counting Crows and the way they changed their live set to be acoustic from what their typical electric sound was.
I love the original song, but the acoustic hits so much differently for this song. So I highly recommend, and I think they did it like how many years after they officially recorded it? Anyway, yeah, it's also available on YouTube. You can watch the live recorded version too.
I'll throw it in mentions.
Cool. What's your next pick?
My next pick is Welcome to Heartbreak by Kanye West. This one strikes me as a visual representation of how our emotional states function. I don't know about you, but at any given moment, I feel like the product of what I'm creating, trying to outshine who I've already been. The song itself makes me think of when I moved away from the safety of a tight-knit social circle just so I could make money. Idiot that I was. I learned a lot about who I really am, though, and who I want to be. It was tough discovering just how many people treat friendship like the most temporary thing imaginable, but hey, lesson learned. What's up next for you?
Next video up for me was you actually showed this to me. It's False Alarm by The Weeknd. This video was recorded by the same guy that did Hardcore Henry. It's shot from a first-person point of view of like a robbery, and it's so action-packed. Like, not only does the song take you on this like crazy roller coaster, but the video matches perfectly with how the criminals are feeling, what's going on, and the action is just absolutely nonstop. So it is definitely entertaining. It's almost like watching a little mini movie.
Yeah, and they make it look like one continuous shot, right?
Yeah.
From one person's perspective.
Yeah, and that's another thing that's like so crazy within itself is it doesn't stop. There's no like breaks. It's continuous. So the amount of talent that it has to take in order to pull something like that off is like insurmountable. So anyway, False Alarm by The Weeknd. Watch it.
My third pick is Mutual Core by Bjork. Firstly, watch this one all the way through. Rayburn, you recently asked me about my thoughts on soulmates. This video calls to mind the closest thing I've ever known to someone who might qualify, because she and I used to talk a lot about what it would be like to truly connect two separate brains. The conclusion we came to was, maybe it's best that we can't. Much like her, that first line of the song's second verse sticks with me, always. Fortunately, I've learned to live with her memory and hope the world enjoys the outlet I'm still creating for it. What's your next pick?
If you're a fan of everything cliche, weird 80s, you're going to appreciate I Believe in a Thing Called Love by The Darkness. It's set in space. There's guitars. There's squids and octopuses. Octopuses. Anyway.
I have no idea. I like the sound of octopuses for some reason.
I'm going to go with octopuses.
Yeah. Straight male octopuses. It's yeah. Of course it appeals to me.
Whose mind's in the gutter now?
Carry on.
They're a one-hit wonder, but it's very cliche 80s. Like it's a weird music video, but it's definitely one that will always stick with you, and you will never be able to listen to that song the same without thinking about that music video. So that's why it makes my list. I Believe in a Thing Called Love by The Darkness, and thank you, Jordan, for showing it to me. Jordan's your sister.
I know. I was contemplating giving thoughts on that album in general, but I think we will get to them eventually. I don't know that they deserve to be a one-hit wonder, but yeah, they definitely are looked at as that. My next pick is Run for Your Life by The Fray. This video helped me through a lot of hard days, and the message is easy enough to understand. The world only looks small when you're standing still in a place which doesn't serve the best interests of your heart. If you haven't found your people, it's probably because you aren't looking hard enough. There are almost 8 billion humans on the planet right now. Imagine meeting everyone you've ever met 1 million times over. That's still an understatement of just how much the odds are in your favor. So don't give up. Run until you find those who've been running toward you.
That's the truest statement I ever heard.
I think about these things.
No, I'm not knocking you for thinking them. I think that more people should think that way and feel that way. Anybody that closes themselves off to all they've ever known kind of ruins whoever they could be. So,
see, secretly we're turning this podcast into therapy. That's what we're doing.
I don't think we're licensed professionals. So
no, we're definitely not.
Don't take what we say with a grain of salt.
We're literally talking about a song called Violent Pornography when we started out today. Yeah. What do you have next?
My next choice is Sledgehammer by Peter Gabriel. This is another, this is a stop motion video, which primarily is just his upper half of his body.
You're looking at me like I know. I've actually never seen the video.
You've never seen? Okay. No. Well, that's going to be fun because you're going to add it to our YouTube.
Yeah, I will watch it.
Cool.
Don't have a choice.
Yeah, no.
I could just add it and not watch it, but
Yeah,
I'll be there,
you won't
so
do
I'll
that.
watch it.
You won't do that. Anyway, Sledgehammer by Peter Gabriel. It just the way it was shot, it's done creatively when a lot of stop motion videos, like we mentioned in the past, Tool did a lot of claymation, stop motion. At this time, there weren't a lot of videos like that. A lot of videos at this time were primarily dance videos. So the fact that it's just a guy with a bunch of different knickknacks in a stop motion format room. It's creative.
You talked about dance tracks from
Yeah.
around that time, and now all I'm thinking about is Susudio.
Oh.
Phil Collins.
I thought you were going to say Opposites Attract by...
I used to hate that song so much.
Oh, I remember the Oklahoma trip where all you played was Phil Collins, and I cannot tell you. I should have put Susudio on your list last week.
My mom and aunt used to play it a lot in the car,
Mm-hmm.
and it would drive me insane. I remember thinking that this was old people music, and that was never going to appeal to me.
You're old now.
And now I'm an old person.
What's your next pick?
My final pick for the first half is All Around Me by Flyleaf. There's no porn in the world that gets under my skin like the eroticism exuding from Lacey in this video. I know it's a religious song. Don't at me with your shallowness. As someone who lives with this kind of inner passion, it's refreshing to see it caught on tape coming out of another human being. I won't get too deep into memories here, but I will say, if you've never been intimate with someone who frightens you, let me be the first to recommend it. Go ahead, let's hear number 5, Raven.
My number 5 is This Is America by Childish Gambino. This video obviously grabbed my attention and would not let go until it was over for obvious reasons, especially with issues that are occurring nowadays and are in the media today. I love Childish Gambino, but this video I wasn't expecting it out of him, and I could have easily gone with Feels Like Summer, which is another one that's really, really good that I enjoy. But I went with This Is America because it touches on a lot of interesting and serious issues that are occurring right now and have been occurring over the past couple of years. So,
and talk about a song I love to hate.
You hate This Is America?
No, I don't. The change into the chorus is brilliant. But if all that song was a continuation of the verses...
Oh, yeah, for sure. No,
negative.
I like the variety of it. You think it's going to be a different song, and then it changes dramatically.
And that's its brilliance.
Yeah, I completely agree. So that's going to do it for my first half of our top 10 list.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get into our special coverage. We did 5 albums, 1 album by 5 different artists, that is to say. Mm-hmm. We are going to start with the D12 album, D12 World, which was from 2004. How'd you feel about this one, Rayburn?
This was actually the album that I chose out of D12's albums. This fell second to last for me. I was surprised, but I still gave it 6 5s. My top track was How Come? It's a song that sticks with me, and I'll find myself singing that chorus. And my bottom track was Dude and Bizarre. Those are 2 different songs. They're both talk tracks. And one of the reasons why this album got my second to last is there are a lot of skits and talk tracks.
Yeah. Some of these skits do actually evolve into
a song.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or even have something of a freestyle in them. I found a little more purpose in some of these skits, and I'm still judging you for which album of the 2 you chose by D12, but that's because I'm old.
Okay. We've established this already.
So where did this fall for you?
This was my second to last.
Same.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh my God.
This was my runner-up. I gave it 8 5s. My top track was 40 Ounce, and my bottom track was Steve's Coffee House, which again, that's pretty interesting too if you follow the work of Eminem, because Steve Berman is actually performing in the song, and it's just really weird on purpose. But my top track reminds me of seeing D12
mm-hmm.
because that place blew the fuck up when they came out to 40 Ounce. Mm. Anyway, there are a lot of songs on this album. There were 21 tracks.
Mm-hmm.
My purchase value, what I would have paid, the album could have been worth $21. I would have paid $11.25 for it. So really, and the average was only 3.85.
That's not much higher than what mine was. You never said how many 5s you gave it.
8.
Okay.
And the placement in the list here, I bring up the other things primarily because it wasn't, I don't think, the best that we listened to.
Mm-hmm.
It just had the most tracks and
Mm-hmm.
therefore had a higher likelihood of ranking high for me in purchase value.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, anything you want to talk about with regard to D12?
No.
Yeah. Feels kind of strange when you don't have a questionnaire in front of you, doesn't it?
I know.
This album contained appearances by Obi Trice, Kanye West.
Real name, no gimmicks.
Kanye produced the track D12 World, the title track,
Mm-hmm.
which probably would have been better. It just didn't have a great hook.
Do you have a preference of member? Anyway, do you have a preference for which member is your top for D12? I mean, excluding Eminem because he kind of jumped in and out.
It's really hard to say. I liked Proof a lot. I thought he was really talented. It would have been interesting for me to hear this group without Eminem at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought that was going to become a thing. It hasn't. But I think somewhere between Goody Mob and Nappy Roots is probably where this group would fall. But then you throw something disgusting on purpose like Bizarre into the mix, and you're really getting the sound of the area that they came from.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'd have to say Proof because Eminem is always going to land at the top for me.
Yeah. I bring up that question because as I was listening to this, I know we talked about the Proof versus Bizarre track because they featured on Twisted's albums. And
your favorite, that Wet Dreams song.
Yeah. I said last week that I preferred Bizarre's Wet Dreams over Proof's track, but I found listening to this album, I actually appreciate Proof's stylings of rapping and songs more than Bizarre's. Bizarre is fun. That's his role in the group, is to be that comic or comedic relief. He's fun. Proof, to me, if Eminem wasn't at the forefront of this band, it would automatically fall to Proof for me as far as leading the direction of the group.
I get you.
Yeah.
And it sounds like we're not doing justice to the rest of the members of the group.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think they're all talented. I do like what they bring to the table. One of the things that was notable about this CD is some of the other members did produce certain tracks. Those weren't necessarily my favorite tracks by any stretch, but I do think there's a lot of talent there. And I hope someday they get their shit. I know Eminem is, he's already done his song about not getting back together. Was it Stepping Stone? I think is what it's called, or Stepping Stones.
I'm not sure.
It's from the Kamikaze album. Blue definitely knows it. It's him following up on where he's at with D12.
Is the Kamikaze album the same album that's got like Berserk on it? No.
No.
Okay. I ask questions because I'm generally interested.
No, it's okay. And I don't mean to laugh at you.
This is stupid shit.
No.
Y'all know nothing about Eminem.
That's not necessarily how I mean it. I just... I don't know what the
Please
fuck I'm
elaborate.
trying to say.
Either that or get on to the next artist.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me finish going over my notes here.
I forgot he's got notes. My bad.
Also, on this album was Young Z, Be Real of Cypress Hill, and Dr. Dre did some producing for the American Psycho 2 track. There's also a short track involving one of their original members, Bugs, who, like Proof, was also murdered. Listening to some of this brought back memories of driving around with Corey, listening to the 7-minute freestyle M and Proof put out. It was called Just Rhyming with Proof. And you can't hear it on Spotify, but I will throw it into the mentions on YouTube. And that should be all I have for this artist.
Okay.
Have you heard their first album?
No, but they are going back in the jar.
Yep.
So that we can cover them at a later date. And I fully expect to have my mind blown since you're giving me a lot of judgy eyes right now.
I hope so. I'm really curious to see what you think of certain older sounding hip hop.
I feel like the podcast was just an elaborate ruse to get me to listen to all the music that you...
No.
You want somebody to... I'm joking.
I want someone to riff off of. I want to know how other people feel about things, and I fully expect to have my horizons broadened. They already have been.
We've already touched on some artists that you didn't know about, and obviously we've touched on artists that I didn't know about.
This is true.
So we're teaching each other things.
Yeah, imagine. I'm learning from Rayburn. What the fuck is this life? Moving on.
It's the one you asked for, dear friend.
Yeah, it is.
Moving on.
The next artist up was KALEO.
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 Now who's
I'm wrong about Hosier, by the way. I tried to look up the enunciation,
Who
and I'm too dumb to understand enunciations
were
as I read
either
them
one of
online.
us right?
I think it's like, I'm not even going to try.
Hosier.
It's something like what you said
Hosier?
at first.
Okay.
Anyway,
I'm not being like a pretentious dick or anything. I'm generally curious if I'm wrong.
you're going to have to look it up because I didn't go through the motions of making sure that I was saying it correctly.
Okay.
Anyway, Kaleo,
Mm-hmm.
the album we covered was AB
Mm-hmm.
from 2016. How'd you feel about it?
This was my top. You knew it was going to be.
I'm surprised.
You are.
I am surprised.
Well, this
album only had 10 songs.
Yeah, I gave 5 of them 5s.
Same.
My top track was Way Down We Go. My bottom track
did not give that one a 5.
Well, it holds a special. But Way Down We Go was really my intro to KALEO.
Okay.
Another one that I would have said, All the Pretty Girls. That one got a 5.
That was my top pick.
All the Pretty Girls is a really good song.
Yeah.
And had Way Down We Go not hit me on a nostalgic front, All the Pretty Girls would have been my top. And my bottom was that German track.
Okay.
So
I thought about that initially, but I struggled a lot trying to pick a bottom track here because I gave everything 4s and 5s.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
I ultimately went with Broken Bones because the foreign track is really pretty. Like the more I hear it, the more I want to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what the hell's being said, but it's really pretty.
I really wanted to understand it. I didn't think it was a bad track, but I really wanted to know what they were singing about. And I say this now that I just got through talking about how the lyrics, they're low on my priority list. But I really wanted to know what they were saying because all the other songs on this album got 4s and 5s from me. I gave this one a 3, so it was still good. It wasn't bad. I just really wanted to know what they were saying. Did you say
the foreign track you gave a 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was the lowest score that I gave was a 3, and that's the reason why it really fell to my bottom. But all the rest of them were 4s and 5s.
Yeah.
Did you say where this fell in your ranking?
This was actually at the bottom for me.
Okay.
I think mostly that's because there were only 10 tracks on the album, and most of these albums had quite a few tracks. Mm. That having been said, it could have been worth $10. I'd still pay $7.50 for the album, and it's average. Whereas D12's was 3.85, my average for this album was 4.5. Mine was pretty damn good.
A 4.4, which is
because you had the 1.3.
Yeah, which is the highest on my scale. I would have paid $7.25, so only 25 cents less than you. So we're right there. It's just Shane rated other albums higher than this one, which doesn't discount the value of this album. It's a really good album.
Most people have heard of D12. They know what to expect. They definitely know Eminem. I had never even heard of this artist. What would you compare this musician to so people have some understanding of whether or not they want to go listen to it?
I said last week it was like a slower Black Keys. It's got that gritty sound, but it also in a way kind of reminds me of Johnny Cash in a weird way. It's just got that dark, ominous, not grunge, but like, I don't know what you would classify, like the Arctic Monkeys, the Black Keys. What would you classify them as?
It's tough for me. My thoughts on this album are very mixed, and I will get into why right now.
Okay.
This artist sounded to me like Hosier, Vance Joy, Jeff Buckley, Ben Howard, Damian Rice, sometimes even Chris Stapleton, and the Yvette Brothers. The guitar style goes everywhere from Jet to the Weepies. Those are very, very different groups. Mm-hmm. The sound was so reminiscent of other artists, mostly Hosier, that I'm not sure if it'll stand out to me in time.
Okay.
Great sound, though. It's just a little lost in the crowd at the moment. So while, I think there is great material here,
a lot of people are making that same sound at the moment.
I don't even know that a lot of them are. This sounds like the American take on Hosier. This individual has some really great guitar stylings in places. He does differentiate himself there. It's more blues oriented, and there was quite a bit more, like with Chris Stapleton, there was more solo guitar work mixed within the tracks. And I think this is something I'll have to listen to more in the future to really know how I feel about it.
How to gauge a proper opinion on it.
Yeah.
Which at this point, he just released another album. But I chose this album. This is another album that I chose. I chose this one because this one was the one that I recognized the most, but he only has 2.
Yeah, and
So-
I was really happy with the way my ratings turned out because I think it does half fours and half fives. It's pretty much how I feel about everything that's on the album. I didn't know if it was eventually going to be a strong five in my head or if it is actually a four. And having that middle ground for the artist that I wasn't sure how to feel about, all I can do is recommend that if you like those other artists that I mentioned, you'll probably find something worth liking here, or it's going to turn you off. You might hear it and think this is just imitation and never go back to it.
I think we're in agreement with saying that it garners a listen. Whether or not you can identify with it or appreciate it, that's obviously going to be completely up to you. The reason why I said the Black Keys and Arctic Monkeys is I think the guitar stylings resonate with me like the Arctic Monkeys and Black Keys do.
Yeah, because you originally said slower Black Keys, and I thought going into it, I'm really going to hate this.
Yeah.
And that's not a knock against the Black Keys. I haven't listened to much of their material. I just know some of it is already slow, so that being slower. And I didn't really find that to be the case. I get the sound similarity in places.
They touch on a lot of blues.
There's quite a bit of upbeat here and a lot of variation from track to track. This is an interesting CD.
So listen to it. And if you want, feel free to write us in on any one of our social media platforms who you think KALEO sounds like.
Yeah, someday I could see this being a revisit just to know where we are.
Yeah, this is one of those artists that we're going to need to listen more of to properly gauge an opinion on. So, but this was a good introduction.
And I think that's going to do it for that artist. So we will move on to what I'm going to go ahead and guess was your bottom, which was Shaggy 2 Dope.
What makes you say that?
With the 2017 album, Fuck the Fuck Off, Motherfucker. Yeah, and I say that just because of the experience with Twisted.
Yeah, this was my bottom.
Yep. This was my next to last, if it makes you feel better.
It does make me feel better. Thank you.
So tell me about your top, bottom songs, all that stuff. Let me know what's up.
This got 0 5s from me. My top track was 2 Dope. My bottom track was Intro. As far as price value, I only gave it a $2.25 price value out of 16 possible dollars. So if I want to listen to Shaggy 2 Dope, I'll just listen to ICP.
Okay.
But yeah, and it's got a 2.6 average for me. Tell me about your experience with Shaggy 2 Dope.
This was next to last for me.
Okay, yeah.
But that's not saying much. The other thing that's going to sound really bad is I only gave it, out of the 16 tracks, I only gave 3 5s.
And that sounds really bad. I gave it 0.
I know, but you would think that coming from me, this would have more 5s.
Yeah, coming from a background of being familiar with this artist.
Yeah. And the problem that I had is a lot of the same problem that I had with certain Twisted material. I just felt some of the hooks could have been stronger. Instrumentally, I love this album. And he does some very interesting things at times. Like there's a track called Electric Kool-Aid, I think is what it's called, where he's changing time signatures to mimic the effects of drugs that he's talking about being, it works really well. I would have paid $8 out of the 16 possible dollars. A lot of this stuff got 4s from me.
Okay.
So that's how it winds up being worth that much. My top track was Tonight I'm Yours. Okay. I'm super disturbed by that song.
Okay. Maybe I need to go back and listen to it.
Not really a, religious worry about that sort of thing person.
Yeah.
But I think if you are, it's really going to fuck with your head. And I actually made a video that I'll put on the mentions playlist. It's a bunch of the death scenes or the deaths from the Friday the 13th films.
Okay.
Set to this song.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I tried to make a video that was as disturbing as how I felt when I first heard this song. My bottom track was Revolution 17, and it averaged 3.81 for me, which is just 400ths less than the D12 album.
Yeah.
And it had fewer tracks than the D12 album. So I do like this album.
Yeah, I got that.
Okay.
I didn't necessarily hate this album. Most of it fell right in the middle for me. I appreciated other albums more, and that's the reason, which isn't saying a lot because I gave it a 2.6. But a lot of these fell in the middle for me. This one just fell a little bit below average.
It's really nice for me because Violent J, the other member of the Insane Clown Posse, does so much of the writing that you don't always hear as much 2 Dope as you want to. But to hear it here, I've always liked that. He's not someone who is content to just sit in the background and have people say that he doesn't bring as much to the table, because I think that he does. Love his voice. This is a great album instrumentally. Even lyrically, I think it's just some of the hooks, they fall a little short for me. It's really all it is. Otherwise, it could have been a great album. If you listen to music for the music and you like hip hop or you like a metal industrial type sound, you're really going to like this album.
I think that's the reason why I chose Too Dope is because it's got that rougher, like raw type of beats that are put together and
reminiscent a lot of the music that we play in our little shifts from section to section in the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the reasons why I chose that one. And I agree, it does have a lot of those, the beats I enjoy. It's just, I guess, either the rapping style or lyrically, because it was goofy. A lot of it was goofy, which is not something that I don't appreciate. It wasn't something that stood out to me by this artist. So, but the beats, I can agree. I appreciate it a lot.
Word.
So,
Violent J did make an appearance on one of these songs, but it didn't feel like an ICP song, which was nice in an odd way. Mm-hmm. And then the Revolution 17 song, even though it got my bottom pick, and it deserved to get my bottom pick, I think I rated that one a 2. But it made me think about the counting song from TikTok, 28 by Yatiet. It's on YouTube too. Someone made a remix track. And this person is actually listed as an artist now on Spotify, where they do essentially the same thing, but the song is now called 41. So I'll put 41 on Spotify and we'll add 28 to YouTube. Corey and Jennifer, my Idaho family, drove me fucking nuts with this. It was Laura. I think it was my sister Laura who posted this originally. It's Corey just a guy singing to 28.
Yes. 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
I
know
got
what you're talking about now.
For weeks with just them counting to 28 and trying to imitate this shit.
Yeah, it was random. I was like, what the hell is he talking about? And then it clicked. And I was like, oh, it's that guy.
Yeah, if you need a good laugh, check some of that stuff out.
Or not.
Or not.
Or not.
But I'm a person who likes my trolly, ridiculous jams.
Yes. Yes, you are.
And this would be one of them.
And apparently I do too, so.
So for all the people out there who know 28, but you don't know 41 yet, go check it out. It's actually got music.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
He upped his production value, huh?
He's going a little Windex on us.
All right.
He's getting real.
Nothing beats Chicken Attack. That's all I'm going to say.
I like a lot of the stuff done by the Gregory Brothers.
I played that for Blue the other day. I was like, you gotta sit in here and watch it, because I think it's when you mentioned Chicken Attack on the podcast. And I had seen it before because my trolley cousin and co-host decided to sit me down before we recorded the first episode of the podcast. After we recorded the first episode of the podcast. And made me watch it. And I'm just
bet you've seen plenty of this stuff.
I've seen the Gregory Brothers a lot, but I haven't seen
that
one.
The Shmoyoho.
I haven't seen any of those.
YouTube video. Yes, you have. The Oh My Damn. They did the Bed Intruder song. Sweet Brown remix. Any news clip that's redone to music in a comical way, it's probably them.
I've seen a lot of the Gregory Brothers stuff. Yes, that's right. But as far as the Chicken Attack videos, because there's multiple now.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of those Gregory Brothers songs or videos. I haven't seen any of that. But Sweet Brown, I think it was
Jordan and Al who brought that to my attention. They're the ones who've shown me all of this stuff so far.
I feel like that's more Al than Jordan.
I really don't know at this point. I think they are the same monster now that they've moved away from the alcohol together. Now they do these trolley videos they can find online.
Well,
and I live for it, so thank you if you're listening.
It's sweet that they have something that they can geek out with together. It makes for a better living environment for their children.
I would agree. We've moved way off topic here. Do you have anything else to say about the Shaggy 2 Dope album?
I don't.
Okay.
Do you?
No, I think I covered everything.
All right.
So again, if you like hip hop or you like industrial, I think you'll appreciate this album. If you're a fan of ICP, it's a no-brainer. You've already heard it.
If you're
Sorry
a fan
if
of Twisted.
I hurt any feelings. Yeah, to an extent, yeah.
Yeah. Was this done on the same record label?
I don't remember off the top of my head. Probably.
I would assume so.
Those two are best friends. They grew up around the same area that Eminem did, and I think originally it was Inner City Posse.
Okay, then I'm glad they changed it.
And then ICP, I think they realized they needed something a little more. We've got to hook people in a different way.
Yeah,
and I love what they do.
Had they not changed their name, they probably could have saved millions of dollars in clown makeup.
I'm sure they made quite a bit more
I
millions.
know. Probably averages out.
Anyway, let's break for a minute.
All right.
Good break.
Yeah. I feel refreshed.
Why don't you go ahead and go first here?
All right. I have 2 song recommendations and a plug.
What? Let's have it.
All right. I don't think you're ready for it. Are you ready for it?
I am.
Okay. I received my Hopeless Oceans novel last Monday. I have since started reading it. I'm not as far into it as I would like to be because some asshole keeps getting me to create top 10 lists and rate music.
You're really mad about this, aren't you? No. You thought you were going to have just this easy week of 5 albums and then we were done.
I literally, I shit you not, I was done when you were like, change my mind. Let's do a top 10. And I'm like, God, because this one was hard for me.
I had a bad day. I needed something.
This is taking control when things in our life feel out of control. That's exactly what Shane did.
Music.
But no, I'm not mad at you for it. I'm just saying. I'm on chapter 6. I wish I was farther along. And I've been listening to the Spotify songs as I go. Mm-hmm. And the first song that caught me was your first song after that first chapter, which, boy, that first chapter's a doozy. Was not expecting that so early on, but I'm not going to give too much away.
Yeah, short and to the point.
Yeah. It was Dream by Imagine Dragons. I listened to a lot of Imagine Dragons being with the person that I'm with because he loves Imagine Dragons. I had not heard Dream, and I have not stopped singing it since I heard it for the first chapter. So, I'm
not too crazy about them, but I will say they do a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
And if they weren't, I don't even know what the hell I'm trying to say here.
You've seen them live.
Yeah, they're very entertaining live. And I think that they should be taken more seriously than they are. It's just that some of their sound is appealing to a younger crowd, I think, in a lot of places.
I don't think Katie would enjoy them because they're very repetitive. Their choruses and hooks are very repetitive. Dream was a nice break away from that. And I would get chastised if I didn't mention, because Blue brought this to my attention, Imagine Dragons got their start doing the music for the Spider-Man Broadway show.
I don't even want to know why Blue knows that.
I don't know. He was like, do you know that that's how they got famous? So I wanted to mention that just for him. My plug is the Hopeless Oceans book. I am 6 chapters in, and there are so many different characters, which I wanted to ask you out of curiosity. Mm-hmm. I could not, at least at this point, gauge a character that you might identify with. I have some people in my head.
Right.
Who you might identify with as a writer, but I wanted, out of curiosity, maybe if you could give myself and the listeners that are reading Hopeless Oceans or hope to read Hopeless Oceans, maybe a little bit of insight as any characters that you might identify with as the writer of the book.
As the writer of the book, I identify with all of them.
No
that
standouts?
Having been said, none of those characters were modeled on me.
No, I get that.
To a degree, all of the characters were modeled on other people. Mm-hmm. The Book of Ghosts reference, if you look at real names provided throughout the book, mm-hmm. almost every one of those names is the name of someone I've known who's died.
Okay. Can I tell you who I thought?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I'm not the writer, but in a lot of ways, Rimble reminds me a lot of you as far as having that relationship with his grandmother. Mm-hmm. Same name. His grandmother has the same name as your grandmother. And he obviously had that close bond with his grandmother in the book. And I thought that just the way he carries himself reminds me a lot of you. Another choice would have been like when you tell stories about you hanging out with your boys and doing stuff when you were a kid. Dub.
Okay.
Reminds me a little, like, there are different variations of you. Dub reminds me a little bit of you as well. Not necessarily in the, I guess, brains, but just the way he interacts with the people in his circle.
Okay.
Reminds me a little bit.
What's funny is you mentioned those 2 characters in this week. I've been asked about Nuke. I've been asked about Sunder as far as did I write that as myself? And the answer again is no. They're all modeled on other people.
Mm-hmm.
But you would be hard pressed to find any character in this book who doesn't in some way.
Who was the character? The brother?
Nuke.
Again, I also saw you and him because you had 3 younger sisters that you helped, take care of.
And you're 6 chapters in. I don't think you've seen half the characters in the book.
No,
maybe?
and I know I haven't. I know I'm trying to create their profiles in my head as I go along. And that's one thing that I like that you did in the book is you broke it up to introduce all these. God damn it, I thought I was going to get away with it. You broke it up to introduce these characters in these completely different aspects of their life and locations. And I just really appreciate it. And I wanted to plug the Hopeless Oceans book because so far I like what I'm reading.
Good.
And even I, someone that has nothing really to do with this book, can identify with some of the characters and how they felt.
Well, agree to disagree on one of those points, but
is there something
I wouldn't say you have nothing to do with the book, but keep reading.
Okay.
If you know me and you're out there, read it.
Yeah, you might.
I wrote it for a lot of you.
Yeah, you might make an appearance. That's what I'm saying is everybody can identify with any of these characters. I can identify with Odie a little bit. And I love that you named Riot because I was not expecting that when I didn't know anything really about the book.
Yeah, I think a lot of people online thought that I was supporting the riots that were going on because I had the Riot 2020 thing. No.
So
no, I'm in love with my characters.
Read Hopeless Oceans. I am very excited to see what else the novel brings because I'm actually going to read it. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And so far, I like what I read.
Hold on. It's a ride. What else do you have for us, Raven?
Sorry, I ran a little long on that.
You're okay.
My last song recommendation is for my dear friends and family members. Samantha and Toby, congratulations on your new house. You've moved out into the boonies. You've become chicken farmers, and you're giving your boys a much wholesome, better life in the process. So congratulations. My next song recommendation is Thank God I'm a Country Boy by John Denver.
I'm pretty sure it's John Denver, yeah.
As we were rolling up to the house to move stuff, I blared this because they are country living now. And although we may be farther apart, know that we've gone and gotten closer in my heart. I love you guys, and I wish you guys all the best of luck in your new endeavor.
Corny.
Yeah, fuck you.
So what's your plug?
Hopeless Oceans.
Oh, okay.
See I do twofers, man.
I don't pick them apart.
Hopeless Oceans is my plug. That's the only thing worth talking about, at least right now, as far as plug-wise in my life.
The book's on sale for a little while, by the way. So go enjoy that price point because it's not going to last.
It wasn't expensive to begin with.
Especially not for a 500-page book.
Yeah, when I got the book in the mail, I'm like, Jesus Christ, he wasn't fucking kidding. That thing is thick with 2 C's.
Yeah, but the print isn't extremely small or anything.
No.
Anyway, my recommendation for the week is a song called Such a Simple Thing by Ray LaMontagne, which was recommended to me by my long-distance friend, Kelly. Thanks for being someone who's always giving me new music worth hearing, an unearned amount of understanding, and continued belief that I was born to put words on the page. She compared me to Stephen King this week because she's also reading the book, and she was worried I'd be offended. Girl, the world does not deserve you.
That's high praise.
That's all I got on that one.
Okay.
My plug for the week is the YouTube channel Writing with Jenna Moresi. While I've not yet read her work and don't always agree with her perspective, what I can say without hesitation is that her videos will 100% inspire you to write. And it doesn't hurt that she's both genuinely funny and forward-thinking as she coaches you. I see lots of AuthorTube channels. Trust me, this one is worth your time. That's Writing with Jenna Moresi. Moreci.
Is that all you got for this week?
That's all I got. Shall we get on to the second half?
Yep.
Here we go. Daniel Johns.
Yes.
Yes. Let's move on to the next artist, right?
Okay.
Daniel Johns. Yes.
I remember,
I'm going to try to contain myself here because part of me doesn't want to know what anyone else thinks.
So I can leave?
Bye-bye.
Please unchain my shackles. I would like to leave now.
The next album we covered is the Talk album from 2015 by Daniel Johns, who was the lead singer, or is the lead singer of Silverchair. How did you feel about this one, Rayburn?
This fell in the middle for me. I gave it 2 5s. I was very surprised by his sound. He reminds me a lot of Nick Jonas and his... Yeah, I said what I said. Don't look at me like that. Have you ever listened to Nick Jonas's solo albums?
No, I've not.
Listen to Nick Jonas's solo albums. He sounds a lot like him.
I'm having that basic bitch reaction over here. Just someone says a name from a pop artist. And you think, oh, no, don't do that.
Yeah. Stop it.
Yeah, I'm stopping.
This got a 3.4 from me. The price value got $6 out of $15. My top track was Warm Hands. My bottom track was New York.
Same bottom track.
Yeah, it was overdone.
It still belongs on the album. It's just a little out of step with everything else that's there. Mm-hmm. That having been said, that is the only place we agree here. And I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that you're not really a Silverchair fan. You don't know much Silverchair.
My boyfriend does.
This doesn't sound
Silverchair. It doesn't sound anything like Silverchair.
Yeah.
I can't agree that.
One of their albums... Actually, I think those last 2 albums, they're moving more toward this sound. Mm-hmm. And I think that's because Johns wanted to do something different.
This album took Silverchair's rock and alternative and turned it into like R&B style. Mm-hmm. And I know that's the reason why you love it.
Yep.
Yeah.
This album was my top album. $15 possible value. I would have paid $14.50 for the album.
Okay.
The only drawback, slightly, for me is New York. I gave the album 14 5s, an average of 4.93. My top track was a toss-up between Faithless and Dissolve. Dissolve still strikes me as something that should be on like a film soundtrack for Perks of Being a Wallflower, or that episode of Black Mirror.
Oh,
San Junipero.
Yeah, your favorite one.
Yeah, I love this CD. I liked it when I first heard it. The more I've heard this CD, it's like every time I play it, it grows on me a little more. Mm-hmm.
I would definitely listen to it again.
Yeah.
I didn't know Daniel Johns did. I knew Silverchair, but I didn't know he did any single work. And the fact that he takes what he was and turns it into an R&B, almost sultry album is like, it's a complete 180. And when I even took off my headphones, put them on Blue's ears because he really loves Silverchair. And I was like, tell me who this is. Tell me what lead singer of a band this is. He couldn't tell me anything. But then I told him, I was like, this is the lead singer of Silverchair. And he's like, are you serious? Mm-hmm. I'm like, yeah, dude. It's completely different. If you want something completely different, yeah.
So my notes here, which I'm surprised you didn't feel better about this album. Because when I started trying to think of how to put it into words, what I'd compare it to, what it was like for me, it's as though Prince and Bowie made a love child. The genre is neo-soul, which I should apparently dig deeper into, but it reminds me a great deal of someone blending the new wave genre from the 80s.
Bowie.
Yeah, with current artists like The Weeknd or JoJo. And I know this will be an unpopular opinion among some listeners, but I'd take more of Daniel Johns' solo work over more Silverchair any day. And that's coming from someone who really digs Silverchair. I love this CD. And now we can move on.
I would much rather take Daniel Johns' solo over Silverchair.
It's okay. You don't have to couch it in anything.
I mean, his stuff is a vibe. Like, it's a serious vibe. I would say more of it fell in the middle. You can cut all this out, please.
So no. I don't want to cut it out. I want the opinion. I want the differing opinion. It's really good. It reminds me when I'm home alone and I'm cool, relaxed, you know?
The type of shit you listen to.
The lights are low. I'm drinking beer. I'm listening to...
When are you ever alone? When does this moment occur?
It does happen.
Okay.
It used to happen quite a bit more often, but anyway. Yeah, stuff like this, stuff like CeeLo Green's Basshead Jazz.
Okay.
All
I can think about is Kenan Thompson being CeeLo Green on Getting Freaky.
I mean, yeah, it's in that vein. It's slower. Childish Gambino's
Redbone.
Redbone. Yeah.
Yeah.
this type of sound that I'm getting from this. I know it's not the same as Gambino or CeeLo Green, but it's there.
Yeah.
And it's what I want to listen to more often than just about anything else at this point. So that's enough of me fawning over this album. Let's move on to the next album. So the last album in our lineup was the Jay-Z and Kanye West album, Watch the Throne.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you feel about this one?
This was my runner-up. I gave it 3 5s. It got a $7.25 price value out of 16 for me. I gave it a 3.75 average. My top track was No Church in the Wild. My bottom was Welcome to the Jungle.
Cool. Well, you rated the bonus tracks, the special edition tracks.
No. I did, but I went back.
Fine.
I went back.
It's fine.
That didn't take
I see what you're
into my
saying.
Average. I did.
You were looking at the... Okay.
But I went back and got rid of them.
So you were just looking at the ink marks on your sheet, right?
What do you mean?
You said 16 tracks.
Yes, I was looking at the... Yeah, you're right. Okay. So, I gave it a $7.25 price value out of 12 possible dollars. I'm sorry.
That sounds a little better.
Sorry, I didn't correct. I didn't correct the possible.
Yeah, the album has 4 bonus tracks
that I originally rated, and I had to go back and scratch out and redo my average.
Pretty good stuff there. Yeah. So this fell in the middle for me. I gave it 8 5s. Out of the $12, I would have paid $9.75 for it, and the album averaged 4.58 for me, which means a lot of it was 4s and 5s.
Mm-hmm.
I did give 1 3, though, and that was the Murder to Excellence track. I wanted to like it, just didn't.
Yeah.
And my top track was New Day.
That got a 5 from me.
Pretty sure that's the father-son song.
Yeah, they were talking to their sons. And for those of you that think you don't know, No Church in the Wild, watch Great Gatsby. It's in Great Gatsby. It's the scene where some extras are driving and riding around in a car and they're going across a bridge. And I didn't choose the song because of that reason. But I still really enjoyed the song.
It's a good track.
It features Beyonce on it, which is not surprising because Jay-Z is one of the main artists.
Is she in that one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She also helped out with other songs on that soundtrack too. But not going to get into that.
The album had appearances by Beyonce, as you already mentioned, Pharrell Williams, Bruno Mars, Frank Ocean, Otis Redding, and the RZA from Wu-Tang.
Can I talk about the Otis track?
Absolutely.
It got a 5 from me.
Same.
I loved it. Rated Radio also featured the video on their Facebook page, on our Facebook page.
Yeah. Whoever those people are, they...
Not only did I feature it because it's a great song, but it's also listed as one of Billboard's top 100 music videos, which incidentally is funny because Shane picked top 10 music videos for this week's top 10 list. So I thought it fitting.
It is fitting.
Thank you.
And this is another album that has grown on me with time.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, I didn't know how I felt about it. And some of the songs definitely don't follow your standard archetype for songs. You might just have a verse or two, or you might have nothing but rap changing hands throughout with not a single chorus.
Mm-hmm.
It happens. And I have started to actually appreciate that about this CD.
Mm-hmm. I'm not a big fan of Jay-Z, but I do love me some Kanye, especially early Kanye.
There is a lot of Jay-Z music that I really like, and there's a lot of it that really falls into that pit of you're rapping about things I don't care about. I love his voice. I love his flow.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he does sound best almost always over a Kanye-produced beat.
Mm-hmm.
And you get that throughout this album. Surprisingly, one of the drawbacks for this album for me, as someone who is quite the Kanye fan, were his raps.
Okay.
A lot of the time, every now and then, he will do something that is highly annoying in a song.
No, not Kanye.
Yeah. Imagine. And sometimes over time, it grows on you or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it didn't work here for me, though.
It's like that Bound 2 track. Everybody hated on the Bound 2 track, but I honestly kind of really liked it, and I played. Although
not James Franco and Seth Rogen didn't hate on it, did they?
No, they didn't. But I will say, Kanye was going through a weird time when he made the Bound 2 music video. I would go and watch Franco and Rogen's video rather than watching the Bound 2 video officially, just so that I would give Seth Rogen and James Franco more views than Kanye.
Nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
Anyway.
Little snippet about me.
Yeah, but most of the music was impeccable, and Kanye occasionally, emphasis on occasionally, does get annoying in places, and that would draw 5s down to 4s for me. Even on additional listens and trying to get used to what I'm hearing, didn't always work. As far as rap albums go, this one really is a beast. Better than it seems to, because again, there are those bonus tracks on the Spotify version, which we didn't get to count.
No, but they weren't a listen. I should know. I listened to them.
Yeah. And I think I did listen to this album once, but it was a real quick skim. It wasn't like I sat down to really give it a shot. Yeah, it's a good CD. It's a really good CD. If you like the Black Album by Jay-Z and you kind of like certain Kanye music, you're really going to like this album.
Yeah.
I'd add, while we're in the special, that these rankings would be completely different for me if I were considering either the highest consistency or the highest number of hits, instead of the amount of content that I'd pay money for. So if I were looking at averages, or if I were looking at the number of 5s, these who fell top, bottom, any of that, most of these CDs this week were really great listens. And they could be in all types of order. I think Shaggy 2 Dope is going to fall more toward the bottom, generally speaking, and the D12 CD does have, it isn't dating itself very well. More in the moment.
Yeah.
Type thing.
Yeah.
But it was a great week for me as far as listens go.
It was a fun week for me. It definitely broke up a little bit of the monotony, only doing one album per these different artists. And we definitely had a broad spectrum of genres. I mean, we had 3 rap albums?
Yep.
But the fact that those were being broken up by that Daniel Johns album and the KALEO album was really refreshing. And again, these albums were selected for the special because they have less than 5 albums?
Less than 3, so
less than 3.
1 or 2 albums.
Yeah. So it's
this point.
It's nice that these artists that may not have as many albums as our other artists are being appreciated.
Yeah.
And we're talking about them. So keep a lookout for the next special. Hopefully we'll be up on Patreon by then.
Yeah, I'm really hoping so. But again, that's additional work, and our lives are changing at all times. So who knows if we can fit it in.
Yeah. If we want the responsibility, we'll take it on and let you guys know.
But on the bright side, if we do decide to launch the Patreon, this will actually be a bonus episode. So you'll get more content from us than you're already getting. So if you feel like we're not giving you enough right now, you'll have even more.
We're giving you all we got, Captain.
Who are we? So again, the Daniel John CD is not just my favorite from the week, but probably one of my favorites from the entirety of what we just went through. Yeah.
Wow.
I love this CD. It's got a higher purchase value than Stapleton's Traveler for me. So,
are you giving us a hint for the next portion of this episode?
No.
Okay.
That's not meant to be a hint.
Okay. But
anyway, I'll add some songs to the mentions playlist on Spotify for some of the artists that we've talked about here, but not given any song recommendations. So if you want a deeper listen to some of the similar artists, find some new people, go check that out.
Yeah.
And let's go ahead and move on to the Battle of the Bands finale.
Wait, I'm going to need you to say that again.
Let's go ahead and move on to the Battle of the Bands finale. Oh, okay. I see what we're doing here.
I had to fit it in there somewhere.
She's got sound effects now.
Yeah. The Play Store has given me full range.
So, just as a broad overview, not counting today's 5 albums, during this Battle of the Bands that we just did, we listened to 76 albums in total. That's 926 songs.
I didn't count the songs. Oh
yeah.
My God.
And I know you don't know, I didn't ask you to know, and I'm sorry, but I gave 370 of those songs 5s. That means it's actually over a third of what we listened to I thought was fantastic.
Look at you broadening your musical spectrum.
Yeah.
So proud of you, honey.
Happy about it. Anyway, what we're going to do here is we're going to go back through the 16 artists that we covered, and we're just going to mention a top song for what we heard from that artist. And then we're going to talk about, when we did our brackets, who ultimately won.
Yep.
So Radiohead, what was your top song?
High and Dry.
Mine was You.
Okay. Sia, what was your top song?
Chandelier.
You Have Been Loved. I know you disagree with that one.
That's fine.
Moving on. Fleetwood Mac. What was your top song?
Gypsy.
Mine was Rhiannon.
D. Antwoord.
Thank you. Babies on Fire.
Banana Brain.
JoJo.
Come Back.
Mine was Small Things.
I bet it was.
Yeah. Britney Spears.
Born to Make You Happy.
Don't Let Me Be the Last to Know. Alicia Keys.
Unthinkable.
How Come You Don't Call Me.
Lee Bryce.
Love Like Crazy.
7 Days, 1,000 Times. I know that didn't make my top,
Okay.
but the more I listened to this,
It's one you went back and listened to multiple times.
oh yeah,
See, we can change our opinions.
yeah, things do evolve. Opinions evolve.
Fiona Apple.
Sullen Girl.
Criminal. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Rebels.
Into the Great Wide Open.
Man. Tool.
46 and 2.
Tempest.
I'm surprised by that.
All 15, 16 minutes of it, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Within Temptation.
Faster.
Fire and Ice.
Chris Stapleton.
Either Way.
Same. We agreed on one.
Yeah. You thought I was going to say Tennessee Whiskey.
I kind of did, yeah.
I'll explain in a little bit why that one did.
Godsmack.
Stress.
Moon Baby.
You love that title.
I love that song.
Twisted.
Renditions of Reality.
I said Secondhand Smoke.
Corn.
Kiss.
Black is the Soul.
All right.
So, when you did your brackets, who ultimately won? Who were the top two contenders? Let's put it that way.
Would you like to make a guess?
Chris Stapleton, Fleetwood Mac.
You're right about Chris Stapleton. It's Chris Stapleton and Alicia Keys.
Okay. Well, she was in my top two as well.
Okay.
My other contender was Korn.
Okay.
And I did do some math, by the way, because I know Stapleton had fewer albums. So did Godsmack.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought maybe it was unfair since everybody else had 5 albums.
I thought that too.
So I tried to tweak the math to make sure he was accounted for. Stapleton was right there. So was Tom Petty. But ultimately, it was Alicia Keys and Korn for me. Who won of your two?
Mr. Tennessee Whiskey himself.
Stapleton took it.
Chris Stapleton did take it. Although I will make a note. My top 4 was Chris Stapleton, Alicia Keys, Fleetwood Mac, and Tom Petty. All solid people.
Yes.
I was very surprised by Fleetwood Mac.
What were the stats for Chris Stapleton?
For his average, he got a 4.3. He got a total of 18 fives, which is not my highest fives, but he got 18 fives. And his price value was $24.25.
And again, those last two stats, we didn't listen to as much material by Stapleton.
Yes.
So it's going to be lower. Korn was my winner with an average of 4.58, had 46 fives. And of the 5 albums we listened to, I would have paid $53 to have that material.
It's a very big difference from my measly 3 albums by Chris Stapleton.
Well, 3 at 24. I mean, that's pretty good. You're 40, I think, is what you would have if you up from 3 to 5.
Yeah.
Anyway, so now we're going to go over our best and worst songs.
Yay!
Or no, best and worst artists.
By the way, can I make a note before we move on anymore? My Battle of the Bands winner was a country artist.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. Just gonna put that out there.
She's growing, y'all.
I'm growing.
Sprouting her little wings.
I'm gonna fly. Best and worst artists. What was your top average?
My top average was Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers with a 4.78. What was yours?
Mine was Chris Stapleton at a 4.3.
Bottom?
I had a twofer. They tied.
You had a tie?
I had a tie.
Okay, let's hear it.
Radiohead and Twisted tied.
At what?
2.7.
Damn, okay.
What
And as you'll remember, it sounded like she thought better of Radiohead overall than I did, but that I don't think was the case because Radiohead had my bottom average at a 3.14.
Okay.
And again, that's just because a few of those albums I didn't really care for.
Those experimental albums, I think we both agreed that we didn't really like those. We appreciated the fact that they got out there and were experimenting, but it just wasn't for us.
Again, I still think because I'm still listening to Radiohead that could grow on me. I'm less hopeful of it.
Yeah.
But I still think it's possible. Who had your top 5s?
Within Temptation at 24.
Okay.
What about yours?
At almost double, with 46 5s, it was Korn.
We have established you give out more 5s than me.
Yes,
and
we have.
That is fine.
That is fine.
What were your bottom 5s?
It was Radiohead again. I gave 9 5s.
I gave 3 over 5 albums, so that's...
To Radiohead.
To Radiohead.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well.
What was your top price value?
My top purchase value,
Sorry, I said price value.
which is fucking with you.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. My top was corn, again, at the $53.
My Alicia Keys at $36.25.
It's pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom?
Radiohead.
Radiohead.
$12.50.
$20.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is pretty damn good for 2 albums of material that I thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah. 2 of which you own now. No.
That's Tom Petty.
Yeah, I was
you reading.
Bought me
Tom Petty vinyls.
I did. I was reading my next points. Sorry.
Okay. So the second chance bracket covers people that lost that we thought maybe didn't get a fair shake because they were against our heavy hitters.
Yes.
So who did you pick for your second chance bracket? Who had the highest purchase value among your losers?
Tom Petty.
Cool.
$32.75. I gave him 23 fives, so 1 under Within Temptation at my most fives. And his average was a 4.2, which Chris Stapleton was at a 4.3. And I thought, Tom Petty and Chris Stapleton versus each other probably would have been a better matchup, but since they were split,
That would have been a hell of a week.
I know. That's the reason why that happened that way.
So my top purchase value was DeAntwoord at $36.75 among my losers.
Mm-hmm.
What about your top fives among the losers?
I already listed mine.
Oh, you went through all of it at once. I'm sorry.
Yeah, my bad. I jumped the gun.
My top fives among the losers were also DeAntwoord. They had 24 fives. And then my top average among the losers was Godsmack at a 4.08. And as I told you, I think I told you, maybe I told Megan, I don't know. I was struggling to understand why that was at first. And then it made complete sense to me.
Yeah.
Because there were so many great artists among the losers. I really do like Radiohead.
Mm-hmm.
You had Tool down there. I mean, I could go down the list.
Mm-hmm.
There's some great material, but skits,
mm-hmm.
noise tracks,
mm-hmm.
it draws that down, and the average winds up being quite a bit lower. Godsmack maybe had 1 per album, and then it was just, it was decent. It was good.
Yeah.
You know.
Good.
So who took the win for you overall?
It was Tom Petty across the board.
Oh, okay.
So it was Tom Petty in every category.
Well, DeAntwoord took 2 for me, so they were my ultimate winner in the losers bracket. I had an average of 3.79, 24 fives, and I would have paid again $36.75 for the 5 albums worth of material.
Wow, I expected something different. I expected Tom Petty to take your top, honestly.
He was a winner.
He was a winner?
Oh, you mean for the actual Battle of the Bands?
Yeah, for the Battle of the Bands, I fully expected Tom Petty.
I did too. I thought there was no chance anyone else was going to take it, and then that last week happened. Korn, man.
Yeah, I know. Damn Korn.
So let's talk about our top and bottom albums.
All right. Well, as far as perfect ratings or highest average, I have a 4-way tie for highest average.
Okay, which was what?
Stapleton's Traveler album at a 4.5. Within Temptations, The Unforgiving at a 4.5. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers' Damn the Torpedoes at a 4.5. And Fleetwood Mac's Rumors at a 4.5.
And this is part of why I really like what we're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because who won ultimately isn't necessarily indicative of anything except for, I don't know, what we're thinking about here are hits primarily.
Yeah.
And they don't reflect what type of listener you are. If all you're interested in are hits, or all you worry about is an album consistent from start to finish, this is more in line with winners and losers from week to week. It's just for the show.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean we go back and we think, man, Korn just kicks Twisted's ass all over the place.
Yeah.
So we'll never listen to Twisted. That's not what happens.
And if you've paid attention as we're going along, a lot of these artists are not even in the same genre or realm of each other. So it's the comparing the two is not something that we want to focus on. We will say who we enjoyed more based off of the average. But when comparing the two against each other, it's like not even a question of, that you can't compare apples and oranges to each other. It's not a fair comparison.
So for perfect ratings or highest average for me, I had 3 albums that got a perfect rating. That was JoJo's Good to Know, and then the 2 albums by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, the self-titled and Southern Accents. What about highest purchase value for you? Which album had the highest purchase value?
It was Alicia Keys with $36.25, which we already talked about earlier. And you stated it was pretty damn good. So it's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
What about yours?
Chris Stapleton's Traveler, $13.50. Again, I did kind of discount that today because Daniel Johns went a little higher for me.
Mm-hmm. But he's not
what
counted.
a great fucking listen Traveler is.
I have been listening to it non-stop especially since I've had to go back and revisit some of these albums. I've expanded on my favorites from that album. It's so good. On the way here, I was literally listening to Chris Stapleton's Traveler album.
It also had my most fives. Which album had the most fives for you?
Within Temptations, Unforgiving. I believe I gave it, how many albums are on that track, or how many songs are on that track? Or that album?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
I gave it my highest,
Okay.
for sure. And what about your bottom album?
This was the tie for me.
Okay.
Because we're not going by any metric, but when I started looking at what albums fell to the bottom, I had essentially a tie because the lowest average for me with a 2.27 was Radiohead's Kid A, and the lowest purchase value for me was Radiohead's Amnesiac with a $1 purchase value.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yikes. Okay. My bottom album was Radiohead's Kid A. I gave it a 2.0. I gave it a 2.
Which is technically worse than me, so I'm
It
just
is.
going to keep...
It is. Let's move on to the questionnaire portion of this Battle of the Bands.
Sounds good.
Whose win or loss surprised you the most?
Sia's win over Radiohead.
Wow.
I wasn't expecting it.
You liked a lot of her later stuff, though. You felt pretty passionately about it.
Yeah, and I think we were on the road when I was doing the ratings, so what I did was a little different. Now, for the most part, I'm just taking one artist at a time and I'm listening to the 5 albums. On the road, I was listening to one album at a time, always starting in chronological order. So I listened to that first Sia CD. I wanted to hang myself in a closet because it just bored me to tears.
I feel we're revisiting this again.
Yeah, but with Radiohead, that first album was fucking phenomenal.
We know you love Pablo Honey.
And I was wildly surprised that as I kept going, her material was getting better. Theirs was getting not worse, just
different.
Not my style.
Okay.
You?
I was surprised by the loss of Tom Petty and Fleetwood Mac. Anybody that knows me knows I love Fleetwood Mac, but I could not get on board with Lindsay's direction of those albums.
D. Antwoord took your win?
No.
Oh, you mean ultimately. Okay.
What are you talking about D. Antwoord for?
Because it was D. Antwoord versus Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, no, yeah.
You mean in the finale, right?
Yeah.
That they didn't make it through the finale.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm very surprised that they weren't higher the farther along we got in the
You didn't answer wrong. Stop looking at me like you're worried about something. That's perfectly fine. I was just confused.
And Tom Petty, just for sheer where it ended up in the overall bracket, I think it didn't have as much of a chance. I'm very surprised that I got Alicia Keys over Tom Petty, considering that Tom Petty was ranked higher than Alicia Keys on average.
Which of the cover artists have you been listening to most?
Chris Stapleton. That does not come as a surprise. You?
Yes.
I was going to say Daniel Johns. I would say...
This should serve as clear indication of the fact that winners and losers don't really matter all that much.
So it's a loser.
It's a loser.
Twisted.
Lee Brice.
Ooh, okay.
The 5s, the songs that got 5s from me, are amazing.
They're strong 5s, huh?
Yes. Very strong 5s.
I'm going to go in the other direction and stick on my Chris Stapleton train.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. They're both country artists.
Choo-choo.
Who would have thought? Yeah. Did you genuinely dislike any of these artists? And if so, which?
Okay, so I am going to go ahead and take the easy way out and the coward's way out by saying I found joy in all these artists, but the hardest to get through was Radiohead, Tool, and Lee Brice. What about you?
I didn't genuinely dislike any of these artists. So as a whole, no, I didn't dislike any of them. Some required way too much digging for the goods. That's really all it is. I think our answer was pretty much exactly the same.
That's cool.
I still like the question because I have no doubt that at some point...
we're going to find something that we don't like.
Oh yeah, there will be something like that.
What did you learn during this Battle of the Bands?
Even a thoughtful rating system like mine should be taken with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
It's meant to reflect the way I feel, and I think it does a really good job of communicating that, but I don't have a single metric that's going to tell you everything.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it did, it's still going to be lacking in some way, and your emotional experiences are going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
So
your nostalgia to some of these songs are going to probably cause you to rank some of these artists higher, or these songs higher. It just really, it's subjective.
yeah,
it really
nostalgia is
depends on the person.
more of a bias for you, I think, than it is for me. Not as a knock, you just bring it up a lot, and I don't ever think that nostalgia is influencing too much of what I ultimately feel.
It influences my feelings toward the song, so it kind of gives it a like you said, a biased perspective.
Yeah.
But I said my enjoyment for Stapleton, and while I love Fleetwood, I was surprised that they did not take my top spot. So that's what I took away from this Battle of the Bands.
It's interesting, too, because we went with the 5 heavy hitters for Fleetwood.
Mm-hmm. Which...
maybe there's some other stuff out there that's going to land better for you.
maybe.
All right, and our last question is, which artist have you picked for the next Battle of the Bands?
Lana Del Rey. You're welcome.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm. And
or maybe a not so good one, depending on who you are.
It's going to be a good one. And what did you choose?
Third Eye Blind.
Okay. Yep.
Yep. So for those out there listening, we will split those up because we always are going to draw from the listener jam jar from now on. There was a week with a guest where we did not draw from the listener jam jar. And there was also the week where we started with our picks.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't draw from a jam jar at that point. That will never happen in the future. So these picks are going to be split up among weeks, and Rayburn will always go first.
So be ready to listen to some Lana. Some Anal Del Rey.
And some Third Eye Blind. Some Anal Del Rey.
That's what Blue calls her.
Wow.
He loves Lana Del Rey, but he calls her Anal Del Rey.
I think I love her a little more now.
Yeah. Are you ready to move on to the second portion of our top 10 list?
I am.
All right.
You go ahead.
All right. My 6th spot for top 10 songs with the best music videos falls to Helena by My Chemical Romance. I have said something about this before.
She wants it on the playlist.
I want it on the playlist officially. This music video at this time in my life changed my life, and it's looking back on it now, it's really, really stupid because I was in a place when I identified with this music video. I at one point wanted my entire wedding to look exactly like the Helena music video, and it's a funeral.
I don't actually think that's too off base for people who are fans of this group.
Yeah.
I think big fans of this group will identify with what you just said. I don't think it's uncommon at all.
Okay. A lot of people want to, will say that the music video, the Welcome to the Black Parade, is one of their best music video. Helena started it all. It really put Gerard Way in your face, which you can appreciate because you love Gerard Way's voice. Maybe not the way he looks.
I don't really have any feelings about his looks, but
okay.
I'm just sitting over here thinking about Teenagers because I love that song.
Yeah. Which you do realize that Teenagers is she wore an teeny weeny itty bitty yellow polka dot bikini. Listen to it. You'll never hear it the same.
What are you doing to me right now?
Can you hear it?
I'm trying not to.
Okay. You'll never be able to listen to that song. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to ruin that for you. But yeah, it's the...
I don't hear it.
Itty bitty teen... Okay.
I don't hear it.
Okay. Helena by My Chemical Romance. What's your next pick?
Next up, this is my ridiculous pick. It's Rub by Peaches. Did you think D. Antwoord was as weird as the video recommendations would get? I promise you that this ups the ante. Maybe even go watch the Light and Places video too, if you need more what the fuck in your life, because it's going to provide it. Hearing anything from the Rub album reminds me of showing up to Thanksgiving, trying to tell my sisters that the How You Like My Cut song sounds like some shit they'd write for Kicks. And yep, that's the level of intellectualism I bring to the table. To reiterate the motto of my life, I'm sorry, and you're welcome. What do you have next?
Next on my list is the Do I Wanna Know music video from the Arctic Monkeys.
Monkeys.
It is it's their logo from that album drawn out into different characters, and it's just a really creative album. It's simple, but it's very creative.
It's a black background, starts with a white line.
Yep. And that
slowly progresses into
different scenes, so that white line and its simplicity, creates this music video, which the music goes really, really well with it. It hits on all the right
video.
notes. Yeah. So that's the reason why that gets mine. What's yours?
Next for me is High Hopes by Kodaline. This video is a nice reminder that it's never too late to take another chance on someone, even if that someone is yourself. Just don't expect happy endings to come easy. Expect them to be worth it. There's enough time in life for the tables to turn all the way around again, but you have to allow yourself to see life through to its natural end. Speaking of life ending, my friend Christy's mom passed away last week, and this seems like a good place to remind her, as long as there are still people around who love you, no loss is insurmountable. What you got?
We've touched on this in a past episode when we covered Sia. Her Elastic Heart video will make you feel something. It will. If you listen back to that episode, that could be creepy that I said that. Anyway, it's got Shia LaBeouf, who's extremely method, and Maddie Ziegler. It's a powerful and emotional music video. You're not sure what the story is between these two characters, but you know whatever they're feeling it very, very strongly. And I think that it just expresses a lot of emotion that I could not stop watching it because I wanted to know what these characters were about and what they were going through.
I always saw it as LaBeouf was supposed to be protective of her, and then ultimately exposing that she doesn't need protecting.
And leaving him behind.
He might be the one who needs protecting. And it was a good statement for me on the nature of the way we view gender. You see memes a lot where guys are being run down if they're not walking on the outside of the sidewalk, you know, with the girl on the other side. And I think that plays a lot to the way sexism shows up in all types of things that we do, and how in a world where we are not commonly in positions where physical strength, you know, as a, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I sound sexist just talking. But in the small ways in which we can stop being as sexist as we are, much there is nuance that needs discussed. I'm rambling. I'm sorry.
You're fine. So if you want to feel something, watch Sia's Elastic Heart music video. A lot of people will say, oh, you know, it's pedophilia and all this. And I think it only is that way if you're the person that takes it to that place, and will really speak more volumes about you than the imagery that you're trying to interpret.
Yeah, normally I would disagree with, you take something like Cuties that just came out, I would definitely see that as...
Yes. Objectifying.
Yes, and promoting. Yeah. And I know the message is supposed to be anti that, according to the director. But for me, this video never came across as anything that was promoting pedophilia, not any more than Dance Moms, which is where she comes from, right? And it's tons of little girls that are dancing around on stage, or beauty pageants in general.
I think something like Cuties, I haven't watched it. I won't watch it. But I have obviously heard a lot about it. I think something like Cuties, they're trying to cash in on the shock value.
Yeah.
More people are going to talk about it. More people are going to see it out of curiosity.
I had no idea what it was. I was just going to watch it because it was a new film on Netflix, and I just happened to see Shoe on Head released a video talking about it. And just some of the stuff that was being mentioned, and some of it really did make me throw up in my mouth a little, you know. So it's never going to happen for me. But this video that you're talking about, no, it's a beautiful, artful exchange, and I would agree. You can't leave women, young women, you can't leave them out of art strictly because some perv in the world somewhere is going to be turned on by it.
Them, yeah.
Yes.
What's next on your list?
Jesus, I don't even know anymore. What rabbit hole did we go down? Next up for me is The In-Between by In This Moment. This video released shortly after I'd begun writing the novel, and I must have watched it 50 times before completion of the final page. It kept me reminded that I owed my sisters something extra for having suffered with me through some of the story's outlining. Eventually, it saw me leaning heavier into things their occult-loving asses would appreciate. Anywho, the video has some really stellar visuals, produced mostly with nothing more than contrasting colors and symbolism in place of special effects. I can't stress enough how much this video helped me in writing the book that I ultimately wrote. And it does serve as an homage to my sisters, who are going to be showing up a lot more than they even knew or know about. And I'm sure if they're hearing this, their interest to finish is stronger than ever now.
Definitely spiked.
Anyway, what's your next pick?
My next pick is Stan by Eminem. This was my first music video introduction to Eminem, even before the My Name Is. And it was a lot to take in as a younger kid to watch and listen to this story. You were older than me, so it hit you a little bit differently than it hit me. But when I was watching it, first of all, I wasn't allowed to really listen to Eminem at a younger age.
I was into Eminem long before Stan.
I know.
So,
I know.
not long before, whatever.
You're aging yourself a little bit. Long before Stan.
Well, he only had one album out before this, so.
Well, and like we said before, I wasn't in his demographic until I got older and I could identify with some of the stuff that he said. It is what it is. And homeboy from Casper plays Stan.
Oh my God.
What's his name?
I don't remember.
You know what I'm talking about. He played the human version of Casper. He plays
Jonathan
Stan.
Taylor Thomas?
No, do not do that to JTT. No.
All right, well, I don't know who we're talking about then.
Well,
that's
moving
who I'm
on.
seeing in my head, I guess.
No, it's
maybe
not.
I'm seeing the right person, but that's not the right name.
I feel like Katie would be able to tell us. But what's your next pick? Moving on.
My next pick is also an Eminem song.
Okay.
Or an Eminem video. It's Headlights. I never thought this would exist, this song, much less get its own video. That it's shot from his mom's perspective shows just how seriously he took it too. I can relate to a lot of this in a big way. You might never guess it based on how well my mother and I get along now, but we were pretty rocky for a long time. I was twice as old as she was when I had my first kid, and I can't imagine also doing it without the other parent at least being dependable. I did a lot of blaming her for the state of my existence, poor, fat, no dad around. And she had super high expectations of me in return, I think because I was the first of 4 kids who wound up replacing a lot of the dreams she had for her own life. It's tough to know how hard it would be to not have either parent in my life as an adult, though. So this video makes me more appreciative of my mom coming through the exhaustion of being a single parent, still sane enough to be a good grandmother and friend. And that line toward the end, when M thanks Debbie, yeah, I feel that in the core of my being. Every time I hear it.
Y'all should try the wine. It's real good.
Yeah. Love my mom.
I love her too. The older that I get, I don't ever remember having a relationship with your mom when I was younger. Again, I think she was too fucking tired dealing with you hoodlums and hooligans.
Worked all the time, was going to school.
Yeah, she did a lot. And now that I'm an adult, I guess I'm more fun to your mom. Because I absolutely love the relationship that I have with her now, and she cracks me up. I appreciate her on such a new level now that I'm an adult and can actually have fun with her.
What will throw me for a loop until the day I die is she doesn't realize that she can be sociable and that she can be fun. I don't think she believes that of herself.
It's okay, I do.
It's so strange to meet her and know her and be around her. And
every get-together, I will say this, every get-together is better when your mom is there.
Yep.
My next pick.
Your last pick.
My last pick.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is Tonight by the Smashing Pumpkins. It's based off of a French film. I think it's called something of the Moon.
It's beautiful. That's all I know. I haven't seen the film.
It's based off of a French film where they take a rocket to the moon, and it's I don't even know. It's very gypsy-like. It's very whimsical, and it's just really, really creative. My dad went through a portion of watching this music video all the time, but I had seen it before that. But just because not only is the song good, but the music video is really, really creative and definitely warrants a watch. That's it for me.
Love the Pumpkins.
I know you do.
My final pick is Ride by Lana Del Rey.
I love
How's
that
that
music video.
How's that? Here's an admission.
Okay.
Even though I write poetry, I really dislike most poetry.
You didn't like that intro, did you?
I did.
You did?
Yeah. This video couches a song and a poem that actually gets it right. And I can't help but relate. I was a whore once upon a time, too. An aimless heart that continually broke itself. I've known so much personal success, yet my dreams have shattered me in more ways than I can count. They still do. But what no one tells you is that those flames eventually burn away all the nerves. Afterward, if you stick with your passions, all you're left feeling is what your mind chooses to. So stop giving a damn what other people think about who you are. Make sure you love whoever you're becoming. This one's a long video, but worth watching down to the very last frame.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one. I don't know why I didn't think to put that on mine.
Because you're stupid.
Yeah, we've established I'm stupid.
You're not very bright.
Nope, not a lot going on upstairs. Are you stoned?
No, I'm fucking crazy. But I am free.
Oh my God. Let's move on, Anal Del Rey.
Alrighty. Well, I think all that leaves us with is drawing from our listener, Jam Jar, to see who will be coming on next week. But we also have a guest coming up next week.
Yes, we do.
Who's that going to be, Rayburn?
Mr. Lebowski himself, but you can call him the dude. My father, Eric.
Who has he picked for his music artist?
Rush, which does not come as a surprise. He baited us a little bit with some other artist, but ultimately it always comes down to Rush.
And I'm sure if he comes back on, he might do it again. You never know.
I never know with him.
Rush round 2?
He might just troll us. So we'll see.
Pick somebody we've never heard of.
Yes, just for an excuse to get us to listen to who he wants us to listen to.
Who's doing the honors?
You can do the honors.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You sure?
No?
All right, well, what people don't know is I forgot to pack this full of the new recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
So when you got here today, we had to sit down and
Yes, we did.
And update the jam jar. Let's see what we get. Prince.
Sorry, I'm so excited.
Prince and Rush.
Oh my God. Okay, my parents are going to get a divorce. They're going to divorce each other.
So for people who don't really understand what's being discussed right now, her dad is convinced that no one would hold a flame or even be able to hold a flame to Rush for him. And now I think we have a real battle on our hands.
I'm so excited.
Props to Codes for recommending Prince.
Yes. Thank you, Codes.
Let's see how it goes, my dude. I already know from listening to your podcast, that's the Semi-Friendly podcast, by the way. I know how you feel about Rush, or how Austin feels about Rush, and we will see how we feel.
I have a feeling that I'm going to say something to piss somebody off, and I don't think it's going to be you.
I don't know. I will be the first to admit that some of this that I've heard from both artists isn't my bag.
Cool.
I love a lot of it.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it goes.
All right.
That's going to do it for this week. Come find us online. Let us know what you want to hear next, because it's what you choose to share that ultimately makes your melody unforgettable. You can email us at rated_radio@yahoo.com. And with that, we are gone again until next time.
Peace.